Good morning, 6th grade, and welcome to your very first day of asynchronous learning. First off, Remus wanted to say good morning to everyone. Actually, he wants to be asleep because it is actually 9 o'clock at night on a Tuesday when I'm recording this the first time. So, good night, buddy. Really quickly, I'm going to run you through everything you need to do today, but before I do that, I just wanted to remind everyone. First, please remember that if any point you need me today, you should comment on Google Classroom, or you can find a way to get in contact with me, whether that be email, or if you have my number from last year, calling, or if you need to have your parents message through Dojo, any of those will come right to me. So really quickly, I'm going to make my screen real small here. So, as you can see it right now, I am in the 106 class, but this is going to look the same exact way if I'm in the 104 class. Right now, it is not listed up here, but this video that I'm recording right now will be the very first thing on your stream when you come in tomorrow morning. So, if you're watching this, congratulations, you found it. So, next thing. If you click over into the Classwork section, I put Asynchronous Wednesday right at the very top of the screen. So, although it's not open yet, you will have an Ed puzzle that's going to open up at midnight tonight. What that's going to look like is when you open it up, it's going to open to the scientific method. I have a bunch of different people who are going to do the activity. When you click into it, it's going to be a video that has a bunch of questions that go along with it. And all of the questions come up in the video or make sense to what the video has just discussed. So take your time on answering each of these different questions. It's only a 4-minute video, so it shouldn't take you a super long time to answer. After you're finished with that, you're going to start working on your Write Your Own experiment. Remember, this is an experiment that you're actually going to be carrying out, so make sure you check with your parents about if you are allowed to use the supplies. Some of them require very, very, very few supplies. So, for the Write Your Own experiment, if you did not get to the point where you wrote a question, that is what you would need to start with. And the first thing that you can do, I'm actually going to move this up here for you. In the Teach Me section, there is a website that if you were stumped on what kind of project you want to do, you can click into this, and if you click the one slide investigation, it'll give you about 100 different ideas for labs that you can do. Now, that being said, you do not need to pick one that's on this website. You can go through and you can pick one that's similar, and you can change it up to fit what you have at your house. So, for example, one really easy one that's on here is in the matter section, It says, how does the salinity affect the freezing point of liquids? Literally all you need in that is salt and water. Salt and water. You don't need anything else, and you're testing how fast they freeze. Other ones, you might need other supplies, and some of them you may not be able to do with what you have at your house. So take your time, think about what you want to test. And you can use anything on this site or anything that you can turn into a good research project. So, for the Write Your Own experiment, we have a rubric with 10 criteria. Your intro slide is probably the easiest slide. You just need to have your name and your topic. So for example, if I was doing one on the Mentos and Coke experiment that we did in class, I would say, Mentos and Coke, Miss Pancoast. Your question should be your next thing that you come up with. Your question needs to be testable, fact-based, and address how one thing affects something else and the resulting outcomes. Your background research needs to be detailed and specific. It should cover the topics that are closely related to the area that you're researching. You need to cite where you're getting your research from, and it shouldn't only be Google searches. So, for example, if I was talking about that Mentos and Coke experiment that we did, I would search up something like nucleation, which is the process of carbon dioxide gathering on surfaces, or I could search different carbon dioxide levels in different sodas. And that is all research that I could do. And your research is going to be very specific to what you're researching, to what you're experimenting on. You are going to be doing variables and hypothesis. So you need to come up with your independent variable, your dependent variable, and your constants. And you must have at least 3 different constants. Your hypothesis needs to be in the form of an if-then statement and needs to include both the independent and dependent variables and talk about how they are affecting one another. And here's where we're actually going to stop for the day. We're going to stop at the materials and procedure. So, your materials, you must state everything that you're going to use for your lab. From a toothpick to water to a marshmallow or whatever else you're using in the lab. And make sure that you're very specific in the type of materials. Talk about what kind of water. Is it distilled water? Is it salt water? Is it sugar water? And if you're talking about marshmallows, is it the tiny little marshmallows, the mini marshmallows? Is it the normal ones or the big jumbo marshmallows? Be specific. With your procedure, make sure you're thinking through how you are actively going to do your project. Use specific numbers. Be very specific in the way that you're writing it so that if I were to take your experiment and go to try and reproduce it, that it's going to look the same way me doing it as you. Take your time. You are working up to the procedure step today, and we will talk about the other steps after. So again, you should be doing slide 1 for your introduction, slide 2 for your question, and if you guys are in any question about what you need to have, check down in the notes section at the bottom. Background research, variables, hypothesis, materials, and procedure. So if you are done slides 1 to 7, then please get that done. I'm going to be checking in throughout the day and I'm going to be leaving comments. On Thursday, we're going to go over those comments and change up what we need to, and some people might begin testing. So be excited, be interested, and get to work. So if you need any help, again, let me know. Remus wants to say goodbye because he's going to go to bed. Bye, everybody.